The meet program is the consolidated list of all the entries for the meet, every heat and lane for every swimmer in the meet. This is essentially the program for the meet that the parents, coaches, and meet workers are going to use to know which swimmer is swimming in which lane and which heat. To generate a meet report, or most people know it as a heat sheet, you will go under Reports and select Meet Program. Sessions should be all for all events. And again, you've got the option, if you wanted to, you could select individual events, or you could select all for all the events. In most cases, you're going to select all the events for a particular meet. Under columns and format, most times you'll want to have a triple column heat sheet. It's just a way to save paper. You can go double column. It includes more of the swimmer's name and some other items, but again, eats up a lot of paper. Format, again, you don't need to check any of these boxes. The important thing to check though, make sure you check the date and time for timestamp. That allows you to keep track of when exactly a particular version of that heat sheet was created, because in many cases you'll print multiple copies of it. Included in the meet program, you can include things like records for the pool, the team, and so forth by checking that box. You're probably not going to have time standards for your meet. You do want to include the entry times. That includes the swimmer's best time that's in the system if teams keep track of that. It allows the swimmers to immediately know if they've gone faster than they've ever gone before. You can include a line for results. The rest of the defaults you can pretty much leave alone. Make sure you do not check the box for heat start times. That's a box that will actually simulate when every heat is supposed to swim based on the swimmer's times and a predetermined time in between swims. That's not always going to be an accurate estimate, and what's going to happen is people will sit there and gripe if you're running too slow, or they'll complain if you've run too fast, because they'll have sworn that the heat sheet said that their swimmer was going to swim at 6:30 and they got there at 6:30 and they missed their child's race. You can choose to include the relay athlete names by including up to 4 swimmers, or you can leave it blank to save paper, but usually it's nice to include the relay swimmers on the program. Once you've selected all of the criteria that you want for that particular race, and notice up here you've got other filters that are available. You could just list the boys events, the girls events. You could just list the 7 and 8 year olds by putting in an age range of 7 to 8, or you could just select one team out of 2 teams and just run a meet report for one team. Normally you're just going to leave these blank and it'll include all of the information. Make sure you can include individuals and relay events. Once you've got all the criteria you want, click on Create Report, and it creates a meet program that looks like this. This nice, neat form that's got the events listed, heats and lanes, the swimmer's times, and so forth. Anytime you generate a report, you click on the print icon and it'll automatically print that. It'll give the print dialog screen to print to what printer you want to print to, however many copies you would like. Once you've got the criteria you want, click on print and it'll print that option. When you're done with that, close that screen and you're ready to move on to your next report. For most dual meets, again, the home team is going to be responsible for printing a bare minimum of at least about a dozen copies of the heat sheet prior to the start of the meet, with all of the last minute changes and everything else in it. That meet program, the dozen copies, 1 copy goes to the meet referee, 1 copy goes to each place judge, 1 copy goes to each deck manager, so that's 5 copies right there. 1 copy should go to each head coach, that's 7. And then any remaining copies should go to the announcer and each team equally. If you can print more copies, it's advisable to have the last minute copies printed. And in most cases, the home team will print 1 set of copies that they may actually sell to the parents that won't have all the last minute changes in it. However, it'll give folks a pretty good estimate of what's going to go on during the meet, minus any substitutions or last minute changes that have been made.